In our example, we have a demand of 10,000 vehicles per month, and with 20 working days per month, our production needs to produce 500 per day. So our master production schedule will require 500 vehicles per day, which translates to 250 vehicles per shift in our two-shift system. But now we want to add something new to our problem, and this is product variety. So of our 10,000 vehicles, 5,000 are sedans, 2,500 are station wagons, and 2,500 are hatchbacks. Now I know these look like the Volkswagen Beetle, but what we're trying to represent is the sedan, the station wagon, and the hatchback. With the point being that there are twice as many sedans demanded as there are station wagons and hatchbacks. So how would a conventional production system handle this? Well, as we learned, a conventional production system would split that demand into several production runs which are dedicated to one model each. And this means that we're having large batches. We're producing in large batches to minimize the impact of the setup times on the capacities. Now, what did this do for our inventory? Well, we learned that as well. If you have a large batch and you're building up a large amount of the product, and the demand, of course, yes, we have double the demand for sedans compared to station wagons and to hatchbacks, but that doesn't mean that we're going to get half the month, the first half of the month, having only sedan customers, and then a quarter of the month for station wagons and the last quarter for hatchbacks. No, that demand is going to come in fairly regularly throughout the month. So if we produce a large batch, this means that those inventories will be sitting in our production waiting for the demand to use them up. But let's go one step further up in the supply chain. What does this type of conventional scheduling do for our suppliers? So let's say that we're a supplier, or we have a supplier who's delivering the back door of the station wagon. And this back door is different for the station wagon as it is for the sedan and for the hatchback. So if we have a big batch production, this means a few times each month this supplier has to supply a large number of station wagon doors, and the rest of the month nothing. So how does the supplier do this? Well, either he can hold a large buffer of stock so that he can meet that large demand a few times a month, or he has very, very flexible capacity so he can quickly build this large amount for delivery. So, illustrating that these large batches in our conventional production system also mean that we have large batches or a very flexible capacity that's further back in our supply chain. How would Lean approach this? And we're going to look at the Heijunka approach. And what this means is that our scheduling is moving towards mixed model. And this means leading to an even distribution of the delivery schedule. Cars in the Heijunka approach are going to be sequenced as uniformly as possible based on the proportionate demand. And remember, we needed twice as many sedans as station wagons and hatchbacks. So, for example, a mixed model scheduling would be first to schedule a sedan and then a station wagon, and then another sedan, and then a hatchback, and then a sedan and a station wagon. So we have double the number of sedans as we do station wagons and hatchbacks. And the objective then is to keep the flow as level as possible, not just to regard the end-of-month quantities. And obviously, which is very important here, the production must be flexible enough to be able to handle these small quantities. But this production schedule will match the actual demand much more closely than the large batch production will, and will avoid this extra inventory buildup in the system. And of course, that translates upstream into the supply chain to the suppliers, who will also see a more even demand. Now, let's look at our example again. We had 10,000 vehicles, 5,000 sedans, 2,500 station wagons, and 2,500 hatchbacks per month. Proportionate demand then is 50% sedans, 25% station wagons, and 25% hatchbacks. We already calculated our TACT as 1.92 minutes per vehicle. So this means a sedan comes out every 2 vehicles. So every 2 times 1.9 0.92 minutes, or every 3.84 minutes, we produce a sedan. Hatchbacks and station wagons come out every 4 vehicles. So we get either a hatchback or a station wagon every 4 times 1.92 minutes, or every 7.68 minutes. Again, important, the production has to be able to handle this. Let's look at one more example. We have demand forecasted at 6,000 units per month. So our production takes that 6,000 units per month, looks at 20 working days per month with 1 8-hour shift per day. Of those 6,000 vehicles, the marketing tells us that 3,000 are expected to be type A, 2,000 type B, and 1,000 type C. Can you recommend a mixed model production schedule and calculate the takt time for this example? Let's go through this together. The first thing we want to do is to calculate the daily production quota. So we have then, of the 6,000 units per month with 20 days per month, 300 units per day, or 37.5 units per hour. And the proportionate demand of types A, B, and C will be 50% for type A, 33% for type B, and 17% for type C. So if we want to set up a mixed mode schedule, well, we want 50% then to be type A, 33% to be type B, and 17% to be type C. And we can see that here with this repeating schedule, this repeating pattern of 6, A, B, A, C, A, B. We have 3 out of the 6, or 50%, are type A. 2 out of the 6, or 33%, 1/3, is type C, B, and 17%, or 1/6, is type C. Now, to calculate the takt here, we have an 8-hour day, or 480 minutes per day, and we need to produce 300 per day. So 480 over 300 gives us 1.6 minutes per unit. So here's our 1.6 minutes per unit. Here's our mixed mode schedule. Part A, you see, is coming out every 2 units, right? All the way along. So part A will be coming out every 2 times 1.6, or 3.2 minutes. Part B is a little bit different. It comes out here in 4 units. It comes out in 2, and 4, and 2, and 4. So on average, every 3 times 1.6 minutes over 4, every 4.8 minutes on average. And part C is coming out here every 6 units, so every 6 times 1.6 minutes, or every 9.6 minutes. Now, this is another example. What we've learned is the basics of mixed model scheduling using this Heijunka approach to achieve a level, even schedule. This allows us to follow then the takt of the customer demand and achieve our level schedule where the different product types are scheduled evenly so as to better match the actual demand and to avoid an increase in inventory in the system. And this is, as we showed, is in contrast to conventional production systems, which tend to produce in large batches and suffer the impact of the higher inventories.